Hey guys, welcome back to Furniture Flipping Teacher. It's Lauren here, and I am actually awaiting a customer to bring a piece of furniture over that they already had in their house. I mentioned in another video that they wanted me to also redo this dresser. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I priced this and what she wants in the furniture. So you want cream, definitely not white, but not yellow cream. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I think any version of that, it'll be fine.
A little bit more like aged a little.
Yes,
too,
absolutely.
So.
Yes, that's definitely what I want.
Alright, so I got it all unloaded with their help, and then I went ahead and staged it up so that we can take some before photos. Once we get the photos done, my next step will be to take it all apart and then clean it very well. Super excited. Let's get started. So here are these beautiful pieces that they just dropped off. Since this is my first custom piece that people are giving me the furniture that they want flipped and that they have a vision for, it was also my first time that I had to lay out a price for what I felt comfortable getting paid on these pieces. So since this was the first time, I did struggle a little bit, but searching on YouTube and finding Christina over at Pretty Distressed, she has a couple of videos that break down the cost and the ideas about custom orders. So I used her PDF. I'll link her down in the description below. I priced out the cost of materials. I priced out an hourly cost, and all together I priced it at $375. Again, with this being my first piece and me not being 100% experienced as Christina is, I did do a little bit on the lower end for my hourly wage. Now I want to talk about what the customer wants. On this piece, she wants it to be a cream color, and she wants both of these pieces to match. With the mirror, the dresser, and the nightstand, I'm going to bring them all together, do a creamy color, not too yellow, not too white. And she actually gave me a swatch of her curtain that she doesn't necessarily want me to match to, but she does want me to kind of base it off of this and make sure it has those darker undertones rather than the yellowy undertones. So I'm excited to pick out the color. I'm excited to get started on these pieces. I'm gonna clean first, and then we're gonna prepare the piece for painting and getting it all prettied up. I'm just actually using warm soapy water, Dawn dish soap today. Next, we are going to move these pieces out, and I'm going to sand just the tops down with my orbital sander. We got to do that outside, and then we'll come back in and lightly sand the drawer fronts as well. So all we're doing is sanding down the tops. Officially done sanding the top down. Now I'm going to clean it up. Alright, so I am all finished sanding. I am now going to be filling in some gashes in both the top of the nightstand and the dresser with my wood filler. Got the wood filler all done. Now I gotta let that dry before I sand it, and now I'm gonna remove the hardware on the drawers before I sand them down. Just taking all the last minute hardware off to get ready to prime. Alright, that is all for the primer. I'm going to put my fan on them to get them all dry, and then we are going to go talk about paint. Alright, so let's talk about paint a little bit here. Usually I don't spend this much time deciding what paint I'm going to use. However, for my custom order commission piece, the person wants me to use a cream color. So I've never used a cream color, and she was saying she doesn't want it too yellow, she doesn't want it too white. So I kind of have two options here, where I have a cashew from Waverly chalk paint that is actually from Walmart, and then I also have an ivory. So the cashew was just a tad bit too dark in my opinion, so I was going to add some ivory to it to make it a little bit lighter, but again, not too white. And then the Annie Sloan chalk paint, which is actually the creator of chalk paint. I've never used either one of these, but I've heard really good things about both. And the Annie Sloan paint that I chose to check out is the original. So this is the Waverly mixture. This is the Annie Sloan original, which will definitely need another coat. The Waverly was much thicker. These are two completely different colors. I think this one needs to be a little bit whiter. This one is too white. So I'm wondering, even if I put some of the Annie Sloan with the Waverly, do a little cross contaminating. Maybe I'll try that on another drawer real quick here. So my final decision, I believe, is going to be the cashew plus the ivory plus the Annie Sloan. So we're gonna mix all three and we're gonna see what happens. right, my first coat on this set is finished up. So I'm gonna go ahead and let it dry, and then we'll come back for the second coat in a little bit. Okay, the first coat is dry. It's been drying for a couple hours now, so we're gonna put the second coat on there, just mixing it up. I am finished with the second coat, so that needs to dry, and I think we're gonna get started preparing the mirror for priming and painting. Here's the mirror. It has some awesome details in it. I'm gonna remove the sides, the little screws, and that way I can kind of have it in two pieces, so I make sure to get the whole thing covered. Okay, now I'm going to put the primer on. I'm not gonna tape off the mirror. I'm gonna come back through with a razor blade later on. That's a personal preference thing. People can tape it, or you can come back through and scrape it off. All right, that's gonna do it for primer on the mirror and the mirror stand. So we gotta let that dry, and then we can do the first coat of the chalk paint for the cream to match the dressers. So it is the next day. I let the primer on the mirror dry overnight, and then I'm out here again. Last night I made sure to put my paintbrush inside of a plastic bag, and then I put it in the fridge, and that just keeps the air out of it so it doesn't dry my brush out, but then I don't have to clean it until I'm done with the whole project. Let's get some paint on the mirror. Alright, so I'm going to let that first coat dry, and while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and make sure there's no touch-ups I need to do on the dresser and the nightstand. Second coat is on. I can tell there's a few spots that are going to need a little bit of a third coat, but I'm going to head over to the base of the dresser and the drawers and distress that a little bit. So there's multiple ways that you can distress. Sometimes I take a sanding block and do it. Well, this one is pretty worn down, so I'm just gonna add some sandpaper around it. It's another way that you can utilize the sanding block without buying another one. So I'm just gonna lightly distress, which just means I'm gonna take away some of the paint to give it a little bit more character. All right, I just finished distressing, wiping all the dust off, and now I'm going to put the top wax coat on. We're gonna do the clear, and then we're gonna go back and do the dark wax to give it an even more of an older, darker, antiquer look. It did say that it would kind of deepen the color just a tad bit. Okay, the wax on the drawers, the clear wax is done. Okay, now that we've waxed the drawers, I've got the hang of it a little bit more, so I'm gonna move on to the nightstand, still starting with the smaller things so I can continue getting the hang of it, and then we'll move on to the big dresser. I wasn't sure what I was going to think of the wax. I like the finish. Took a little bit longer than just a regular top coat. However, I felt like I had more control over the wax, because with the top coat you have to be careful of clumps and drips. But with this wax, it's a nice finish. Might be using it more often. So everything is waxed with the first coat except for the mirror. I'm gonna wax the mirror next, and then we're gonna get on to the dark wax. So actually, first before I wax, I've gotta use my razor blade to get the paint off of the mirror. Then it'll be time for waxing. wax is on the mirror and the stand, so I'm gonna grab the dark wax and we're gonna get started. Again, the clear coat wax has to be still wet, which it stays for a while, so I have plenty of time to get the dark wax on these and the other things I've waxed before it dries. So that is the stand for the mirror. I like how it turned out. I might go back later and darken some of these up, but for now, I'm liking it. Alright, I am moving on to the nightstand now, but I just wanted to pause and take a look at this and really just be excited about how it's turning out. Again, I've never done wax before, but from what the person said that they wanted their dresser to look like, I think this is just turning out even better than I expected, so I'm happy with it. So that's it for the dark wax. That's gonna dry just for a little while, and then I'm gonna put the hardware on and put the drawers back in the dressers. Okay, the wax is finished drying, at least for now, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the hardware on. The person did not want anything changed with the hardware, so I didn't even spray paint it or anything. I'm just reattaching what was already on there. That looks good. I'm happy with that. And the old hardware helps just bring out the dark of the wax that I put on, keeps that old look going. So I love it. Now let's get the rest on. It's time for me to come over and check it out. I think it looks good. I just need to clean the mirror, but it looks very nice. I like how it turned out. I really wanted to see what the time I actually spent on this piece was, because I did take into account my time. Just a recap. Cleaning at first took 10 minutes, sanding took 40 minutes, removing hardware and sanding the tops of the drawers took 15 minutes, and the wood filler was 10. The primer going on was 40 minutes. The first coat took me 50 minutes, second coat 40 minutes, priming the mirror was 10 minutes, painting the mirror for the first and second coats together was all 20 minutes. Waxing everything took me an hour, then the dark wax took me an hour and 30 minutes, and then reattaching the hardware took me 20 minutes. So that equates out to 6 hours and 45 minutes of work, which I actually allotted myself 12 hours because I knew this was a new experience. I wasn't sure how long things were gonna take. I allotted $100 for materials and 12 hours of work with the total of $375. Now that I only worked 6 hours and 45 minutes, I am now basically getting paid $40 an hour versus the $25 an hour that I had kind of allotted for. So that'll give me a little bit of information for next time that I do a commission piece. Really pleased with how this turned out. I guess I'm a bit faster than I thought. I'm just super excited that this is my first commission piece. I'm gonna let it set, and that way the wax can cure all the way before they get it home. I think they'll love it because it looks exactly like I imagined it would look. They're gonna come pick this up in a few days. Here it is. Wow, that's so
so cute. I really like it. I love
the brown top and thing.
yeah, like that. So it looks so much better than it did.
Okay, well, the verdict is she absolutely loved it, and she said that she even has more pieces that she wants me to do eventually, so that is a lifetime customer right there. That just goes to show you, put yourself out there, let people know what you do, and then if you're reliable, they can count on you. They're gonna keep coming back, so produce good work. I'm excited that that's done, my first actual commission piece. I'm really proud of the way that it turned out. That is $375 minus the $100 for materials, $275 toward my student loan debt. If you haven't already, please subscribe below and follow along on my journey. We are continuing to tackle that student loan debt. Follow me on Instagram at Furniture Flipping Teacher. Comment down below if you have furniture that you're working on right now. If you've done commission pieces, what do you charge? Let me know down in the comments. As always, I'll see you on the flip side.